horrible, bloody military dictatorships in Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Brazil. All of those were put in with help from the CIA, and they overthrew elected civilian democratic governments. I wanted to fight against this, against the human rights violations.
His name, Philip Agee, and soon he is going to become one of the CIA's worst nightmares. He would go on to leak the names, addresses, and positions of 400 CIA officers. This leak directly impacted CIA operations in Mexico, Uruguay, and Ecuador, and cost millions of dollars due to the relocation of officers. Some officers had to go into hiding because of the identity exposure. But the most damaging blow to the CIA was that it destroyed the intelligence networks the agency had built with local political parties, government agencies, and unions over decades. The 41st President of the United States, George Bush Sr., denounced him as a traitor to the United States. He was threatened with death by his own colleagues and deported from Britain as a threat to the security of the state. He worked with the CIA for 12 years. During this time, he was posted to Ecuador, Uruguay, and Mexico, where he carried out propaganda on behalf of the United States, used forgery to divide nations, and conducted surveillance on leftist organizations and labor unions. But his major work as a CIA officer was to conspire in a coup in Ecuador in 1963.
The use of forged documents and false documents is another area in which the CIA can bring about a very timely effect. In Ecuador, for example, we at one point wanted to expose the preparations for guerrilla activity of a particular organization, and while one of its leaders was in Cuba on a trip, we wrote up what would appear to be, the way we wrote it, his report to the Cubans. We put this report in a toothpaste tube. This was planted in his luggage when he returned on this trip and discovered by our people in the Treasury Ministry, and he was immediately thrown into jail. And when the report was finally published in the newspapers, it caused a sensation all across the country. We were able to force the Ecuadorian government to break relations with Cuba, and at the same time we were able to promote repression of left-wing political organizations, eventually establishing a military junta, which took over in July of 1963.
In 1969, Philip left the CIA after spending 12 years working inside the agency. During those years, he witnessed the brutal rule of dictators sustained by CIA operations and U.S.'s strategic interests across Latin America. On October 2, 1968, Philip saw one of the defining atrocities of that era, massacre of protesting students in Mexico City. The Mexican government officially reported a death toll of only 30 to 40 students. However, historians and eyewitnesses later challenged this figure. Many estimate that between 300 and 400 students were killed, while some accounts claim the number exceeded 1,000. At least 1,345 students were arrested in the aftermath. The students' demands democratic political reform and an end to state repression. Witnessing this violence became a turning point for Philip. It was after this event that he decided to expose the CIA and its alliances with authoritarian regimes in Latin America. The 1970s marked a dark chapter in the region's history, a period when some of the worst imaginable horrors unfolded under military rule and state-sponsored terror. On August 8, 1975 in England, Philip published his first book, Inside the Company, CIA Diary. In this book, Philip disclosed the identities of over 400 CIA officers. He explained how the CIA manipulates national elections in other countries, how it influences and is influenced by media and labor unions, and how it recruits informants and conducts covert operations. In October 1972, Philip moved to London with his partner, Angela, a left-wing Brazilian who had been jailed and tortured in her home country. From London, Philip spoke with Time Out magazine and other publishing houses, determined to expose the CIA's global operations. His efforts did not go unnoticed. Henry Kissinger, then U.S. Secretary of State, urged the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, James Conaghan, to deport Philip once again. Shortly afterward, Philip was deported with little to no legal process. Along with Philip, a young American journalist, Mark Thorsenbaum, was also deported. He later became a senior investigative journalist at Newsweek and went on to work for Time Out magazine. When Marley Ross, the man who signed Philip's deportation order, was later questioned, he gave a brief and chilling explanation. He stated that Philip had aided and concealed others in obtaining and publishing information that could be harmful to the security of the United Kingdom. Vanished from Britain, Philip found the door closed to him in France. Returning to the United States meant prosecution, and possibly prison. In 1979, his passport was revoked. At the same time, his relationship with Angela came to an end. Soon after, Philip met Giselle Roberge, a well-known German ballet dancer. At her suggestion, they married, granting Philip the legal right to remain in Germany. Until his death, Philip lived between their home in Hamburg, Germany, and an apartment in Havana, Cuba. He continued to expose the CIA. In his 1987 book, On the Run, Philip wrote that his former employers never forgave him for his actions. When he was eventually able to return to the United States and review his case files under the Freedom of Information Act, he was told that the CIA had 2 or 3 agents monitoring him at all times. Philip's response was brief. "Such a waste of money," he said, "because I don't do anything that is not public." A philosophy and law student from a comfortable Roman Catholic family in Florida, Philip had once appeared to be perfect CIA material. But his morals and worldview changed as he witnessed CIA's covert operations had done to innocent people across Latin America.